What is up, you guys? It's Drew, and this week I want to talk about a really serious topic. So if you don't want to hear about it because it could be triggering, that's totally fine. But I'm going to be talking about self-harm this week and why we need to be talking about it. So I kind of got this idea from Ash Hardell. For those of you that don't know who they are, they're a really cool YouTuber, and they made a video recently about mental health and why we need to talk about it, and just talking about mental health in general. So it kind of got me thinking, and it made me realize that there's not really any videos out there that I've come across about self-harm and why we need to be talking about it. So I figured, why not do it myself? So what is self-harm? Self-harm is basically just the act of hurting yourself. But the technical definition from the Mayo Clinic: non-suicidal self-injury is the act of deliberately harming the surface of your own body, such as cutting or burning yourself. It's typically not meant as a suicide attempt. Rather, this type of self-injury is an unhealthy way to cope with emotional pain, intense anger, and frustration. So basically, it's just a coping mechanism. It's not a healthy one, but it's a coping mechanism. Why do people do it? People do it for a lot of different reasons. Some people do it because they're punishing themselves for feeling or acting a certain way. Some people do it because it's a relief. It's their way of just letting go of whatever negative thing is happening, or emotions, or whatever it may be, just getting that out. For me, it was to feel alive. I felt really numb and disconnected from my emotions, and it was my way of reconnecting with myself for even just a split second. I saw a quote that said, "Pain can make you feel alive when feeling numb or dead inside." And that was kind of my realization of, yep, that's why I did that. So why do we need to talk about it? We need to talk about it because when somebody is self-harming, it feels like you're the only one. It's often done in a bedroom, a bathroom, in some place completely isolated from everybody else, without your phone, without any connection to the world really. And it just feels alone. It feels completely alone. But the more we talk about it, the more it's not this thing that has to be dealt with alone. And we realize we're not the only ones going through it. We're not the only ones doing this, and maybe that'll help people stop or just not even fall into that habit. It also, if we talk about it, it's also going to dismantle a lot of myths and stigma associated with self-harming. I know a lot of people were so surprised that I'd ever self-harmed because I seem to be a happy person. But, the stigma is only really outwardly depressed people would act like that and self-harm. And that's just not true. It's also not a suicide attempt. That's what a lot of people think. A lot of people think it's a failed suicide attempt when people cut themselves, but that's not actually what it is. It's a coping mechanism. And we also need to talk about it because if we're talking about it and it's an active conversation, youth and adults, really anybody, but specifically youth, will feel more comfortable talking about it and asking for help and asking questions. They'll be able to go to their parents or some loved one and be able to say, "I'm feeling this way, I need help, can you help me?" And instead of being judged or the people just not knowing how to respond to that, if we talk about it, that doesn't happen anymore. We now know where to go for resources. We now know how to help our friends and family that are struggling. So it's really, really important that we talk about it. And I just feel like mental health in general is something that needs to be talked about more, and this is just a branch of mental health. And obviously it's not positive mental health, it's mental illness. But if we talk about it, it's not this weird, foreign thing that we're not supposed to deal with, that's not supposed to cross our minds. It's just so bad. And it is bad. It's not a good thing. It's not healthy. But it's not bad in the sense of you're a bad person if you do it, or you're less human because you did it, or you're less worthy because you did it, or want to do it, or whatever the case may be. That's just not true at all. So the more we talk about it, the less that is a factor for people struggling and also for people trying to help others in this situation. And we just really need to talk about it. We just really need to have a conversation. As a society, we all need to be talking about this. We all need to be educated to some extent. If we all have a base level of knowledge about it, we can all have a conversation about it. It can be something that we can say, hey, we need help with this. And it's not a time of judgment or anything like that. With that all being said, you know, I think a lot of people are going to be a little confused as to why I would make a video like this. And like I said at the beginning, Ash Hardell really inspired me because I think mental health is really important, and this is just another thing within mental health that I don't see talked about, so I wanted to talk about it. But beyond that, it's something I dealt with, and I think that's going to shock a lot of people. It's something I dealt with for years, actually. I started in middle school and didn't stop fully until college. So, you know, the majority of my life. I originally was making a video about my self-harm journey and just what that looked like for me, but it felt not quite right because I felt like I was having to explain everything, or I would need to explain everything. So I kind of stopped and went back and decided to do it this way instead. But in making that first original video, I realized I've never really talked about the fact that I used to self-harm with anybody outside of my therapist and my fiance. So this is a pretty big thing for me to do, but I think it's really important because I want people to know they're not alone. I want people to know that there is help and that you can come out the other side. So yeah, let's just talk about it. Let's ask questions. Let's figure out how we can help people when they're struggling with self-harm or feeling suicidal or just struggling with depression. And also go watch Ash Hardell's video because they're just amazing and they talk about such great things and they're just really great. Yeah, I think that's it for this week. I'm sorry it was kind of a depressing, sad discussion, but that's exactly what I want to stop. By talking about it, we need to make it a normalized conversation and something that's okay to talk about. So I hope this video helps somebody either realize even what self-harm is and maybe realize that some of the ideas they had about the person that would self-harm is not true or is true, or you know, whatever. And I hope that if you are someone who is self-harming watching this video, I hope you realize you're not alone and you are worthy and you're meant to be on this planet for some reason, and you might not know what that is right now, but that's okay. So yeah, if you guys like this video, give it a like and subscribe to my channel, and feel free to follow me on all my social media down below. And if you need any help or have any questions or you need to vent about anything, I'm your guy. Feel free. So yeah, I'll see you guys next week, and I hope everybody has a great week. Bye guys.